With all that's happened in the last couple of weeks, I feel like we are at one of those historical moments where future generations will look back and they'll decide who we were. Are you the president to unite all of us, given everything that's happening right now?
Well, I certainly think so, and I certainly hope so. And the relationships we have are incredible. The spirit of this country, and especially considering what happened. I mean, we had out of nowhere a plague come in from China. It just came in, and it came to all over the world. It went all over the world. You look at 186 countries, and they were devastated. And we were certainly hit very hard. And now we're making our comeback. And then on top of it, we had the riots, which were unnecessary to the extent they were. If the governors and mayors would have taken a stronger action, I think the riots would have been, I mean, you could look at a couple of places that are in such great shape, but then you look at Seattle, look at that, what's that all about? How do they allow that to happen? So I think it's incredible where we are and what we've done considering where we came from. We were riding high. We're the greatest economy in history. We have the greatest employment numbers in history, including Black, African American. If you look at the African American numbers, were incredible, the best they've ever been. Spanish, if you look at Hispanic and Asian numbers, women numbers, everybody. And then we got hit with this plague, this horrible plague, and it was devastating from many ways, including the lives that were lost. That can never be regained. The economics we're going to gain. Economically, we're going to be great. Next year, we're going to have a fantastic year. I think we're going to have a fantastic third quarter. But you can never replace the lives.
I want to talk with you about where we are just in terms of the Black community, people of color.
Yeah.
I'm curious from you, what do you think the protesters, not the looters and the rioters, we're intelligent enough to know the difference in our country,
sure.
right? What do you think they want? What do you think they need right now from you?
So I think you had protesters for different reasons, and then you had protesting also because, they just didn't know. I watched it very closely. Why are you here? And they really weren't able to say, but they were there for a reason perhaps, but a lot of them really were there because they're following the crowd. A lot of them were there because what we witnessed was a terrible thing. What we saw was a terrible thing. And we've seen it over the years. We haven't, this was one horrible example, but you've seen other terrible examples. You know that better than anybody would know it. And I know it. I've seen it too. I've seen it before I was president.
What do you say to
them? During the presidency, I've seen it. I think it's a shame. I think it's a disgrace, and it's got to stop. At the same time, you also know that we have incredible people in law enforcement, and we have to cherish them and take care of them. And we can't let something like this, where you have a bad apple, go out and destroy the image of of millions of people that take really good care of us.
When the looting starts, the shooting starts. Why those words?
So that's an expression I've heard over the years. And
do you know where it comes from?
I think Philadelphia, the mayor of Philadelphia,
It comes from 1967. I was about 18 months old at the time. It was from the chief of police in Miami. He was cracking down, and he meant what he said. And he said, I don't even care if it makes it look like brutality, I'm going to crack down when the looting starts, the shooting starts. Yeah. That frightened a lot of people when you tweeted that.
It also comes from a very tough mayor who I might have been police commissioner at the time, but I think mayor of Philadelphia named Frank Rizzo. And he had an expression like that. But I've heard it many times I think it's been used many times. It means two things, very different things. One is if there's looting, there's probably going to be shooting, and that's not as a threat, that's really just a fact, because that's what happens. And the other is if there's looting, there's going to be shooting. They're very different meanings.
Oh, interesting.
I think.
Do you think most people see it that way?
When the looting starts, it oftentimes means there's going to be shooting, there's going to be death, there's going to be killing, and it's a bad thing. And it's also used as a threat. It's used both ways. But if you think about it, look at what happened, how people were devastated with the looting.
Talk to me about police reform. You call yourself the law and order president. What does that mean?
Well, we are going to do lots of, I think, good things. But we also have to keep our police and our law enforcement strong. They have to do it right. They have to be trained in a proper manner. They have to do it right. Again, the sad thing is that they are very professional, But when you see an event like that with the more than 8 minutes of horror, that's 8 minutes really of horror, it's a disgrace. And then people start saying, well, are all police like that? They don't know. Maybe they don't think about it that much. It doesn't make any difference. The fact is they start saying, well, police are like that. Police aren't like that.
Can the law and order president also be the consoler in chief?
Yes, I think so. I think the law and order president can keep a situation like Seattle from ever happening. It should never happen. What happened in Seattle, what happened in Minneapolis should never happen.
You had some harsh words to say about Seattle's mayor. Why?
Because I saw her break down. I saw her leave. I saw her have absolutely no control. And I saw her make a lot of bad decisions, including don't do anything that's going to affect anybody. Toughness sometimes is the most compassionate. She thought she was being compassionate. Or in the case of Minneapolis, the young gentleman, the mayor, thought he was being compassionate. I mean, what was that all about? And look at the damage and the travesty and the small businesses and the death. Look at what happened. So by being soft and weak, you end up not being compassionate. It ends up being a very dangerous situation. I think I've done more for the black community than any other president. And let's take a pass on Abraham Lincoln because he did good, although it's always questionable. You know, in other words, the end result.
Well, we are free, Mr. President.
But we
you
are
did
free.
pretty well.
You understand what I mean.
Yeah, no,
so I'm going to take